And tonight on this Citizenship Amendment Act, we will look at its constitutionality, the legal dimensions. Two top legal eagles will be joining us. Mahesh Jethmalani, BJP's leader and also senior advocate Supreme Court, and Abhishek Manu Singhvi, Congress leader and senior advocate Supreme Court. But first, Mahesh Jethmalani, who's been waiting on us. Mr. Jethmalani, how do you see the challenge being posed by the opposition? More than 200 petitions are pending even in the court as we speak, where they say that the Citizenship Amendment Act, which your government has notified, the Modi government has notified, violates Article 14 of the Constitution and the basic principle of equality guaranteed under the Constitution.
Very humbly, Rajdeep, in a word, you want me to describe the opposition and the many petitions? Answer is very humbly misconceived.
Mm-hmm. You're using one word. Elaborate, sir, when you say it is misconceived, because the opposition says the manner in which the CAA has been framed and now the rules have been notified is fundamentally discriminatory because it discriminates citizenship on the ground of religion. Muslims are kept out. Only other communities, Hindus, Sikhs, Christians, Parsis are recognized.
Well, first of all, let me tell you, the conferment of citizenship is an exercise in sovereign power. Mm-hmm. According to me, right, there is no challenge to this. If there was any discrimination, you look at Article 15, right? It says the state shall not discriminate against any person on the ground of race, religion, etc., etc. Yes. Any citizen, yes, right? Not potential citizens or aspiring citizens. Now, that's point number one. But point number two is, this is a very specific purpose statute, not just a specific purpose statute. It is limited in time. So it is time specific and purpose specific. Mm-hmm. Now, what is the trigger, Rajdeep? Before we get into all these emotional and divisive issues, right? It's a very, very simple trigger which conceived on the basis of which the act was conceived. One was that there were a whole lot of refugees. Almost all of them, right, were persecuted on the grounds of religion. And they were persecuted in states like Pakistan, Afghanistan and Bangladesh. They became refugees here and they've been living from well nigh many, many years at the time when this was conceived, right? Mm-hmm. A cutoff date is now put by the Act, right? The Act says 2014. Anybody who was here before 2014 and has been continuously living there since then, right? If he is a victim of religious persecution, and that's the object of the Act. Once that is the object of the Act, right? Mm-hmm. How can you say, and now who are the perpetrators of this persecution? The perpetrators of this persecution are states which are theocratic. That's why you named those three: Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Bangladesh. Mm-hmm. They are self-proclaimed Islamic republics.
Yes, but with due regard, Mr. Mahesh Jethmalani, India is not a Hindu republic. India is not a Hindu Rashtra. Therefore, when India makes the discrimination which is seen to be made on religious grounds, if I'm a Ahmadiyya in Pakistan who is discriminated, why should I not get the benefit if I come into India?
Now, therefore, the point is that this was governed by the fact that the largest number of people who were affected by the Act, right, were people who were already victims of persecution by those three countries on the grounds that they were non-Muslim. How can Muslims be the beneficiaries of this Act when the purpose of the Act is to protect those people who have become refugees as a result of Muslim persecution because of Islam coming from theocratic states? Where is the question of there being, Muslims may be discriminated on other grounds.
Sir, but there are millions.
Let me get to the Ahmadiyya issue,
sure,
right? Now, since you raised the Ahmadiyyas, so far as India is concerned, we recognize Ahmadiyyas as Muslims, right? But Pakistan doesn't, and Indian Muslims by and large don't consider them. Do you know the kind of persecution the Ahmadiyyas in India have had to face from Sunnis and Shias? You ask the AIMM, right? Or you ask the All India Muslim Law Board, are Ahmadiyyas considered to be Muslims?
Mr.
No,
Mahesh,
no, please embark upon this inquiry. I've never had all the protesting students of Aligarh Muslim University, etc. They need to be asked this question: do you consider Ahmadiyas to be Muslim? Because after all, right, the Ahmadiyas believe that their prophet, Ghulam Ahmad Mirza, right, continues to be a prophet. It didn't end. The lineage, the prophethood didn't enter with Muhammad. End with Muhammad.
okay, so you're saying, therefore, you're saying specific categories who've been religiously persecuted should be, in this instance, those who have a history of persecution in the last 40 years and therefore wanted citizenship. That has to be fast-tracked. Now, there are 2 points that emerge from that. One, from Bangladesh, you've got a number of economic refugees coming in, Hindus and Muslims, mainly in states like Assam and Bengal. In the past, we've seen the Assam government also raise questions saying, we will not allow any Bengali-speaking refugee into our country. Are we being very clear now that we are going to now distinguish between who is an economic refugee and who is a religiously persecuted minority?
Yes. There is going to be an exercise. And this act, therefore, is only aimed at protecting victims of religious persecution. That's the object of the act. That doesn't mean other refugees don't under other provisions. Listen, this is a new section 6B, specifically designed for a time period and a specific purpose, that is religious persecution. But that doesn't mean other refugees, including Muslim refugees, do not get the benefit of asylum.
Sir, but the fact is we've created a very different category, and this has led people to suggest, legal experts also to suggest, that it is fundamentally against the principles of our constitution. I mentioned Article 14 at the outset. There's also a belief that this cutoff date of 2014 is also arbitrary and therefore also needs to be looked at.
Listen, in the first, look, the rationale, this is the legislative wisdom. This is executive policy, right? According to them, people who have been here since 2014 are long suffering. That's our cutoff date. What is your problem with that? We'll deal with the rest later. What is your problem?
What if the Rohingyas who've already come in substantial numbers from Myanmar, where they've been persecuted, come to this country? Do they get the benefit? What if tomorrow Tamils who are in Sri Lanka come and say they've been persecuted in their country? Do they get the same benefits?
Rohingyas are not a persecuted religious minority. It is an ethnic issue, and it's an issue essentially between Myanmar and Bangladesh. These refugees have been created because Myanmar has turned them out. They made them refugees because they never accepted them as citizens of what was then Burma. But they believe that they deserve to be sent back to Bangladesh because that's where the British got them when they ruled India for the purpose of inadequate labor, which was there in Myanmar, right, on the tea estates, etc. And they're essentially Bangladeshis. India has nothing to do with it. But why are you putting this issue essentially in Myanmar and Bangladesh millstone around India's neck?
But you've said, Mr. Jethmalani, that you believe, therefore, this is a very specific section that has been created. There will be the arguments which are ongoing in the court, that the right to equality, which is the basis of our citizenship, that religion cannot be the basis of Indian citizenship, is being violated. Now, these petitions have not yet reached the final state of adjudication. The government goes ahead, just a minute, sir, the government goes ahead and notifies the rules after having sought 9 extensions just before the elections. And therefore, questions will arise. Is this being done simply with an eye on politics and not really in empathy or actually providing them the benefits of citizenship?
Now, Rajdeep, you leapfrog from what was an argument and a question based on the constitutionality of a particular statute. You are now completely ducked into another area. You are now talking about legislative intent. Is it mala fide? Of course, the opponents of a statute are going to say it is mala fide. What else do they have to say? Why is it mala fide? Are they against these people? Are they against the category of persons sought to be given citizenship by this act? Are they opposed to that?
let's then turn to the final question that is raised, Mr. Jethmalani, which is quite simply this. The fact is that we are in an election season. We are also in a period where the Supreme Court, I repeat, has not given a final adjudication. Should we be waiting for that final adjudication on the constitutionality of CAA before the act is implemented, sir?
Yes, why not? Look, the courts have to take every issue, constitutional issue, which it decides, in order in which it comes before the court. I mean, you know, the BJP has complained of the timing about the electoral bond issue. Fine. So it doesn't matter. These things happen. It has to be. It is the court's calendar which has to be looked at. Nobody carps about which issue it takes just before an election.
One last...
Sauce for the goose and sauce for the gander, I'm afraid.
One last...
I find this one-sided criticism of the court not taking up this, not taking up the CAA issue before the elections to be extremely unilateral and arbitrary.
Okay, one last question. The NRC, which was supposed to be, in a way, is the chronology, as Amit Shah explained, was CAA first, then NRC. We've seen NRC in Assam itself lead to number of innocent people being detained. We've seen to number of people losing their citizenship as a result. And the entire process, in a way, has had to be reviewed and looked at again. Do you believe, therefore, that we need to be careful, given that this could involve a large bureaucracy and operation, so that innocent people don't suffer?
Yes, I think it is extremely important. But please remember, Rajdeep, this is not an act which prescribes exclusion. It's an act which wants to make citizens Indians, wants to make refugees citizens of India. It's an act of inclusion, not exclusion. So your argument can be, and I see the point of that, and I hope the government is sensitive to that we hope that people are not wrongly included.
Okay.
Please understand what the purport of this act is before you ask questions basically which the opposition are raising. Try and be at least a little even-handed on the purport of this statute.
I will make sure that the question that Dr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi faces at the moment will raise all the points that you have. That is my assurance to you, Mahesh Jethmalani, for now, for joining me. Thank you very much.
On that, I have full faith in you, Rajdeep. I have come on your fairness at least. Thank you, Rajdeep.
Thank you very much. Thank you for joining me.